Hey everyone, I'm Jessica, and I always talk about solo games. And today I'm excited to talk about a solo game that is only for solo or one player, and that is Siege of Valeria. So I kickstarted this and I got this recently and have been playing it. And there are actually kind of two games that I'll talk about here. There's the base game, and then there is the campaign expansion, which adds a lot and changes it up. So, what is this all about? It is about tower defense. And you're in a city, and it's the end of a siege, sort of. You have 7 days to either survive or it's over. So across the battlefield, you kind of have a field of 25 cards. There are 20 troop cards, and what those look like are some of these cool cards where they will have a cost to defeat them, because this is about rolling a bunch of dice, which I'll get into in a second. But some of them will have strength plus magic that you have to use to defeat them. Other ones will be just strength. And at the bottom of the card, this is a cool thing that I like with kind of multi-use cards, is that once you defeat a troop, you actually take it into your hand. It's not just discarded, and you have access to that special ability whenever you want to use it. So, for instance, for this one, what are we looking at? You gain and roll 1 strength die. So let's get into that real quick and talk about why that's great. So these are all the dice in the game, but you don't start with all of these. You'll start with 5 strength, or the red dice, and 2 magic, blue dice. So the rest are kind of off on the side as a supply, and you can gain more of these as you go through. The more dice you have, obviously, the more chances that you're going to be able to have a lot of strength and magic to defeat said monsters and troops. Again, there's a lot of them. There are duplicates in here, but there's a lot of different ones. And it kind of turns into a puzzle of figuring out which ones am I defeating this round? What order do I want to use these cards in? And there are some cool combinations. For instance, I can turn, if I roll well, apparently most of these are on 1s on this side. So that's my luck with rolling right there in a bag. But with some of the troop cards, what I can do is I could actually flip one of those 1s to its opposite side, which then turns it into a 6, for instance. And then I can use another troop card to actually double the value of that, which can take that up to a 12. So there's cool ways where you can have a really bad roll on 1 die and turn it into something that's really great. So troop cards make up the most of it. However, the goal of the game is to survive through 7 days, and the big things in the back are going to be siege engines. So siege engines, you need to defeat 13 of these in order to win the game. You'll set it up during setup, obviously. Set up during setup. You'll actually take out a few, so you don't know the exact makeup of the deck, but there's going to be different types of siege engines that are out there. That's not different. Let's get a different one. And the cool thing with these siege engines, let's grab one that we haven't really seen there. How about this one? Is if we look real closely, on the side, you'll actually see that there are values, and some are highlighted and some are kind of in gray, and I'm talking about this side over here, and that will determine if that siege engine is within range or not, depending on how far it is on the battlefield. So you might be okay, and there's no siege engines that are going to attack you this round. You might be in a really bad position and have 5 of them attacking. It all kind of depends. And again, there's that puzzle aspect of figuring out, what am I attacking? Because you can typically only attack the first card in each of those columns. Siege engines, if they're within range, you can go after, and there's a couple of bonus ways to do that. But why would I not attack? Like, what is going to happen when they get to the city? If a troop is remaining at the end of a round, they will actually damage the corresponding turret. Turrets can take 3 damage. If they take 4, your city's overrun, it's over. But there's sort of a balance in taking some damage and saving up some of those troop cards to use later on. The big issue I have here is that there is a lot of luck, especially if there are really, really bad dice rolls. I have had a few dice rolls where all my dice are 1s, 2s, and 3s. Not so great. And if the right troop cards aren't out there, you're kind of at a really disadvantage for defeating and doing anything there. And then also the base game, you have events too. I don't think I showed those, but you're going to have an event that happens every round. You'll draw an event card. There's a bunch of them that will typically do something bad, but some of them are a little positive. And the other nice thing, there is a reference card that tells you every step of the sequence, double-sided. You just follow it along. Really easy. I didn't have to take a look at the rule book after, reading it the first time, so that was really great. My issue, though, is that it kind of gets repetitive and is sort of a solvable sort of puzzle with just the base game. Because again, you're just going through, you need to defeat 13 siege engines. So in time, you'll kind of figure out which troop cards are better to save for later on, which troop cards you should use early to maybe get more dice. And it is the same thing over and over. There's a little bit of variety with the different siege engines. The troop cards, though, you are taking out 2 troop cards out of that entire deck. And this is all of them. So, that's not taking out a lot. That's not really changing a lot of what's going on. So I thought the base game was all right. I played through it, I think 4 times over and over going through, and I either lost based on bad dice rolls, or I ended up in the highest scoring tier with a score of 13 3 times in a row, no matter what I did. So the scoring tiers maybe didn't feel as balanced, or as, I didn't feel that there was a great challenge there. I enjoy losing new games a lot more than winning them right away, because that tells me that I need to practice and I need to figure out what's going on, and it's not just based on luck. So I was a little like, okay, that was, it was a good sort of tower defense style game, but would I play this again? So what did I do? I added in the campaign expansion. And I'm going to say this up front because I'll probably say it again. I feel like this is a good example of an expansion that should have been in the base game. The expansion is where the full game experience really comes into play. So what are you doing in this one? You're going to be playing across 3 connected battles. So you're basically playing 3 times in a row, but they get connected in a way where you will either get a reward or a penalty for winning or losing. However, it's not just that, because the campaign expansion adds in a lot of other stuff. Where's my stack of cards? Let me show you what's also included and how that changes up the game and makes it a lot more interesting. So where are we here? There we go. Let's start with those. I'm getting there. There's a new reference card, which is bigger because there are more things to consider with the campaign expansion. There are going to be these cool elite troops. And let me get my hand off the important piece. But elite troops require exact values of dice in order to defeat them. So this one needs a 1 and a 4 on the strength die. Have to do that. You can't do anything else. You can't augment it with a blue magic die or do certain troop abilities. You really have to just try to get it with that. And there are a lot of these. I'm not even holding all of them in my hand right now, but let me hold them. Let's go lefty to show you a little bit more. But these are all very different sorts of monsters and troops, however you want to call them. And only 4 of these are shuffled in at the start. So they can change a battle a lot because their abilities are all unique. I have had some that are amazing and they are great. They're perfect. I need it. I win. Yes. Other ones, I don't care about you because sometimes they don't work out. But I like how they add in a lot of variety there with having more choices on the battlefield. The other huge difference is that there are bosses that are going to be added to the bottom of the siege engine deck. So you're still going to be looking to defeat 13 siege engines, but then you also need to defeat one of these bosses. And they have, as we saw on those, let's grab a different one, they have specific two abilities that you need to take out, and they will attack the city. They are always within range. They're really bad. But they typically come out in the last round or 2 rounds. So they're not around for too long, but that also means that you need to defeat them pretty quickly. And the cool thing here is with the campaign is that what happens in these battles actually stays persistent. Other things you will have, for instance, you're going to have a duke who is going to sort of lead your troops, and that will give you a special ability that's either ongoing, it's once per round, or it's once per when you draw something. Let me find some. I mean, there's a lot of them in here. There's a lot of cool ones that will really change that up. And what else is out there? You have a duke, but the enemy has a commander. So the commander is going to be sort of the leader of that battle. I want to find the one that I can't stand. I just can't. It's become I don't know where it went. It disappeared. It's the shapeshifter. If you find that, oh, there it is. I cannot do that one. It changes which commander comes out every round. So it's very, very difficult. But with those elements, again, you're going to play across 3 battles. If you lose one of them, that doesn't mean you lost the campaign because there's a campaign score. And like I said, some of these stay persistent. So for instance, if you win the first battle, your duke stays in play because they won and they get to continue on. The commander is gone. The boss is gone. You'll get new ones. If you lose, though, you actually can lose in 2 different ways because you need to defend the city and also defeat the boss. So there's 2 conditions you're trying to meet with every battle. So that kind of depends on, is the boss still alive or not? And am I going to get a new one? And a lot of these, you don't see the cards until they actually come out. So the boss you don't see until it is on the battlefield, and then you can kind of see, oh, it's you. I know you from my other campaign. And rewards and penalties are cool too because they add in little bits that will potentially help you a little bit or hinder you just a bit. I will note in campaigns, having a penalty for losing a part of that, a battle or a play during that campaign can be a little too punishing at times. In this sense, I don't think it is. I think it gives you an incentive to try to do better. So I really, really enjoyed the campaign expansion. Again, I think that is where the full game experience comes in. Again, those 3 connected battles, that is not going to take that long. It's called a campaign, but we're not sitting here for like days upon days playing through all these different scenarios. It's 3 games that you can play back to back. My plays are usually around 30 minutes, somewhere in that range. So for a full campaign, it's about an hour and a half. Very easy to just play once and then come back to it. But I enjoyed this a lot. One of my issues with tower defense sometimes is that you start at the beginning and it seems easy and then it starts building up. And getting to that point where it's actually challenging can be kind of a little bit of a slog. So I like that in this game, in Siege of Valeria, you are starting off when things are bad. The siege engines are there. They're in the back. They're coming for you with all the troops and the boss. So you get to kind of get right into the action and play through this and balance what's going on with the city in terms of damage. And there are heroes that can kind of go out up on the wall to sort of help you out. They can give you special abilities. And it's a really nice sort of game that my only big complaint is that I wish that the expansion was not an expansion, but rather components included in the base game. But what are you going to do? And I will say I rated the base game on I had this very detailed scale that I used to rate my games. The base game on that was a 66 out of 100, but when I added in the campaign, I think it's an 81 now. So it got a lot better. And again, that just shows that's the full game experience with the expansion. So that again is Siege of Valeria. It's a great tower defense style game. I really enjoy it. And that's everything about it. So as always, thanks so much for watching. Hopefully you get some solo games to your table and have some fun. Thanks. Take care. Bye.